Launched in the US 2 years ago, the Ford Edge has now arrived in Europe as the brand's flagship SUV. It's the latest episode of the One Ford plan, which also brought the Mondeo and Mustang to the old continent. Despite that, you can tell the Edge was designed to please American customers. It's big, flashy, and packed with features. The only compromise made for Europeans is the addition of diesel engines. Today, we're going to find out if that's enough to convince buyers here. The Edge may be a sports utility vehicle, but the only sporty thing about it is the design, really. It looks like a hot hatch on steroids, if you ask me. It gets a lot of admiring glances, particularly from Ford customers. Who knows, maybe some of them will one day upgrade to the Ford Edge. You can criticize American SUVs for many things, but comfort is not one of them. And the Edge makes no exception. This car is very relaxing to drive and very comfortable, despite the fact that it's fitted with the optional 20-inch wheels. The seats are very wide and comfy, and the cabin is remarkably silent, although you can hear the engine when you push it hard. The silent environment is largely due to Ford's active sound control system, which is a noise-canceling technology that effectively cancels out unwanted noise from the engine, the suspension. It works much like noise-canceling headphones. The Edge is a big car, particularly for European roads. It's 4.8 meters long and 2.2 meters wide with the mirrors included. That makes it wider than a Range Rover. With that comes an advantage though. It offers plenty of room, both in the front and in the back, and cargo volume is an impressive 602 liters when loaded up to the rear parcel shelf. It has tons of storage spaces as well, including these big cup holders on the center tunnel, big pockets in the doors, both in the front and in the back. Unlike many of its rivals, some of which are even smaller, this car lacks a 7-seat option. Interestingly, Ford offers a longer version of the Edge in China, and that one has 7 seats. Those who are familiar with the Ford vehicles will definitely recognize this dashboard because it's almost identical with the one used on the S-Max. Quality-wise, the cabin is definitely not premium, although Ford prices the Edge at similar levels to luxury SUVs. There are some hard plastics on the center console, and the fit and finish is not great. For example, there are visible gaps here between the materials used to cover the center tunnel. Ford has a lot of work to do to catch up with the competition in this segment. The car I'm driving features the range-topping engine offered in Europe. That's a 2-liter B-turbo diesel unit. That sounds promising, on paper at least, but once you get in the Edge, it doesn't feel like a 200 horsepower car at all. The 6-speed power shift automatic transmission is the only one you can have with this engine in Europe. And that's a shame because it's really slow at shifting gears and it affects the drivability of the Edge. The good thing about this engine-transmission combo is fuel economy. Although Ford claims the Edge has a combined fuel consumption of 5.8 liters per 100 kilometers, we couldn't go lower than 7 liters per 100 kilometers. Still, that's a reasonable consumption figure for a car this big. Predictably, you shouldn't expect dynamic thrills from the Edge. In corners, it exhibits a lot of body roll, and the steering does not communicate accurately what the front wheels are doing. Since this is a sports utility vehicle, people expect it to be quite competent off-road, but unfortunately that's not the case. The Edge features the same intelligent all-wheel drive system from the S-Max, and that says a lot about its off-road capabilities. That all-wheel drive system is optimized for use on the asphalt, so if you take the Edge off-road, you won't get a lot from it. But if you are planning occasional off-road incursions with the Edge, you should definitely settle for the standard 19-inch wheels. Unlike its bigger brother from America, the Explorer, the Ford Edge doesn't feature a terrain management system. It has no low range either, and ground clearance is rather low for a vehicle that's supposed to go off-road occasionally. An entry-level Ford Edge starts at just under 43,000 euros in Germany. And if you're thinking about buying a range-topping model, you're looking at a little over 49,000 euros. That's a lot of money that can buy you way more interesting SUVs, including premium ones. My guess is the only people who will be tempted to buy a Ford Edge in Europe are existing Ford customers. People who drive Kugas, for example. But is that enough to justify bringing this big SUV to Europe? I don't know, but time will tell, obviously. China.
China.